As that 270R race comes to a close, then we look forward to more Caterham action. Next, it is the Caterham Roadsport Championship, which sees a continuation of this brilliant Taylor O'Flanagan and Tom Cockerell championship battle. It was Taylor that was victorious yesterday, and as such extended his championship lead by just a handful of points, but there's still next to nothing in it. It's going to be another thrilling race as they both try and get one up on each other in the quest for the 2021 championship. Scott, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, indeed. We're getting ready for our next race on the timetable here on this Spear OCC Caterham Race Weekend in association, of course, with RunYourFleet.com and, of course, Caterham Roadsport as well. We've had the 310R ranks, the 270R ranks we've just seen on stream as well. Next up, it's time for the Roadsport Championship. These drivers are fresh out of the academy from last season, and, of course, in their second season of racing, this is a championship that is exclusively for a combination of either drivers straight out of the academy and also for novice drivers as well. Now these cars are a small upgrade from what the cars that they would take out of the academy, and the only upgrades that they really get from Roadsport is just a new set of tyres, because they get a new set of Avon ZZS tyres as an upgrade, and they also get a rear anti-roll bar as well. And that increases the grip and reduces body roll, which is particularly roll-on oversteer, which you might get from the more simpler road suspension, road-based suspension, and also all the academy spec suspension, if you like, or the more basic suspension that they have, and also the academy spec tyre that they have. So the Avon ZZS tyre is a tyre that they carry all the way through Roadsport 270 and 310R, those next three steps on the ladder, before they then move up to the Caterham 7 Championship UK, where they have a purpose-built chassis with dedicated slicks and wet tyres. So do watch out for how these cars handle in this particular race. But yeah, these cars now, pretty much in terms of spec, practically identical to the Academy car. The difference being that rear anti-roll bar and the tyres. They have about 125 brake horsepower, 1.6 litre Caterham-tuned Ford Sigma engines. The cars weigh about 630 kilograms. Road suspension, an open differential, and a 5-speed gearbox with a maximum RPM of 6,800. So they are proper little machines, and it's not uncommon that you do see some cars that some drivers do the proper old school method of driving their cars to the circuit, race them, and then driving all the way back again, provided they're in the same condition that left them when they came back to the circuit. So these drivers are pretty special in terms of the way they can drive these cars. I've seen academy drivers do it, and even Roadsport drivers can do it, and even as high as 270 and 310s. Of course, when you put the headlights and the windscreens back in, you can drive these cars ultimately back on the road. So it's quite smart to see how they progress, and it's great to see that the Caterham Roadsport has got a really nice crop of post-academy drivers that have graduated all the way through from last year's phenomenal pair of Caterham Academy Championships. So the grid for this second Caterham Roadsport race, again, is determined by the results of race 1 yesterday. It's been a back-and-forth battle between last year's two Academy champions, Tom Cockerell and Taylor O'Flanagan. Taylor O'Flanagan took the victory yesterday, so he will start on pole position in car number 11. Alongside him was his main pursuer in the end. That's car number 25, Dominic Mansberger from Germany. And Tom Cockerell was about 6 seconds off the lead in the end, in third place. He will start from the second row, hoping for a better afternoon today. Gwyn Jones starts alongside him on the second row in car 97. Next, then, behind him in row 3 is Alex Vincent in car 17, and Andy Lunn with a decent start in 6th place in car number 2. Steve Lancaster and Hugo Bush comes next. Hugo Bush had to recover after a little bit of contact earlier in the race, which then saw him slide down to 8th position in the end. Then it's 9th place on the grid for Ryan Lovett, and rounding out the top 10 is Christopher Broom, followed then by Ron Mounsey and Ian Hapgood on the 6th row of the grid. Row 7 is James Hall and Andrew Berg. Then it's Sam Gibbons and Kevin Turner on row 8. Row 9 is Simon Arnold and Adrian Mariadis. Chris Griffith and Nick Timpson rounds out the top 10. So the top 20, sorry, on the 10th row, with Nick Timpson trying to make up some spots after he retired yesterday. And also there were problems for Marcus Eels and Peter Mott, so they will start at the back in cars 6 and 96. So this race slightly shorter than the 270R and 310R races, 20 minutes in length, and so slightly shorter, but now the same race lengths as the Academy drivers, some races that they had last year in 2020. Last couple of cars put themselves into position. Green flag will fly at the back when they get the signal, and then the 5-second ball will go up, and once again we will go Caterham racing here at Croft in North Yorkshire, waiting to get the signal. Green flag at the back. Let's go racing once again. 5-second board is up. And can Taylor O'Flanagan make it another win here in Yorkshire, or will the likes of Mansberger, Cockrell and Co try and take it from him? Lights out, and we go racing in the road sports. Decent equal start from the front row as they charge down towards Clever for the first time. On the inside line from pole is to Taylor O'Flanagan. On the outside is the black and green car of Mansberger. Wheel to wheel into Clervo, into turn 1, and it's going to be O'Flanagan who turns in with the whole shot. They pour in together, all 22 of them. A couple of cars running wide, and one car goes spinning in the mid-pack, car 20. That is Chris Griffith, I think, that went around, and he just about survives that. Did a complete 360, car snapped one way then the other, and somehow got away with it, practically unscathed. That would have given them a fright. Anyway, down towards the right-hander at Tower Bend, down the back straight for the first time, and the leaders are already getting into it. And Flanagan leads, but now Mansberger having to defend the inside line going into the middle of the road to stop either Cockrell or Gwyn Jones getting past, and also a fast start for Alex Vincent. He's up into 5th place in car number 17 as he started back in position 5 as well. So top 5 pretty much as they were from the grids. They come up through Jim Clark Hess's, up through Barcroft for the first time. Apart from 1 or 2 mishaps in the mid-pack, everyone seems to have got away from that relatively unscathed, which is good to see. So Flanagan already trying to start to build a lead here if he can, up through the right-hander, through Sonny, in, through Sonny, out and wide on the exit there for Dominic Mansberger. Again, he's lost a rear wing already, so we need to watch out for those steep drop on those curbs on the exit of Sonny. And you can see there that his driver's left as he's lost his rear wing. Has he got lodged in the... I thought he's got one of the marker boards. He's got one of the marker boards. If you look at Dominic Mansberger's front end of his car, one of the marker posts is lodged in between the suspension. You'll see it in a second. He comes past the pitch. I might get a proper look at it as he comes down towards Clervo. Leaders then down towards turn 1 again at the first proper flying time. So it's going to be O'Flanagan at leads, Mansberger in 2nd place. Then it's Cockrell 3rd, Jones 4th, Alex Vincent 5th, Steve Lancaster's up to 6th, 7th place for Hugo Bush, up 1 place from where he started. Andy Lundy's 8th, then it's Ryan Lovett and Chris Broom rounding out the top 10. Now if we get a shot of Dominic Mansberger's car, you'll see that there's a lodged in marker. Whether it's disappeared or not, we'll have to wait and see. But through the S's they go, one after the other. There's Hugo Bush going out a shot, and then behind him we've got Andy Lund in the black and orange car number 2, being followed by Ryan Lovett in car 38. But down towards the complex they go, and Mansberger getting close. Can't get a proper look at the front end of that car as Gwyn Jones holds off Alex Vincent. Steve Lancaster also in the sort of pale yellow car in car 49, not too far behind in 6th position. Bush, Lund, Lovett and Brim also closing in. But you might just be able to see the little orange, the piece of orange that's just sticking up at the top of the bonnet of Mansberger's car. There's the marker board you can see, and he lost it here. There, you can see it just there, look. Just in his front suspension. There it is, look, just lodged in between. He won't go that wide at Sonny out once again, will he? But he's going to try and get back in the mix. He's not slowing him down either, because he's keeping with in amongst both O'Flanagan and Cockrell. So the 2 Academy champions sandwiching Mansberger here as they come out of the complex again. They're trying to drop Gwyn Jones here in 4th place, and he's falling backwards behind Hugo Bush, who in turn is having a dive up the inside of Alex Vincent. He takes a position. He goes up now into 5th place. So up to 5th has got Hugo Bush. Vincent will try and retaliate on the run back down the pit straight towards Clervo for the 3rd time. And also in the mix we've got Lancaster and Lund going at it for 7th and 8th. Lovett is 9th and Broom rounds out the top 10. And it's Hall, Mounsey, Gibbons, Berg, Turner, Hapgood, Timpson, and Arnold, Niels, Mariadis, Mott and Griffith. They're all still going, so all 22 cars started, all 22 still running, which is happy to see. So they're all in one piece. Now for the lead, it's getting very close because Mansberger's got the run now down towards the right-hander at Tower. Powers down the outside line. They're going to be side by side. Cockrell watches on in 3rd place in the red and white machine, but into Tower they go, and Mansberger still with that the orange marker post attached. He's right on the tail of O'Flanagan here. And of course, much better pace from Cockrell this time after he lost out a little bit. I think he did get a little bit tangled up with Hugo Bush yesterday, which is the reason why he dropped back. But ultimately, it was a scrap between them two that just out of Tower Bend, they just locked wheels, and there was no damage, it seemed, to either car. But the only one that kind of really had lost time was Hugo Bush when he dropped down to eventually 8th place, whereas Cockrell could keep his 3rd place, but was a few seconds back. There is Hugo Bush in the grey and orange car, just on the stream, on 5th position. chasing down Gwyn Jones. Meanwhile, around the outside for second place of the complex is Dominic Mansberger, whose nose has now fallen quite ajar on the front of that car, in car 25. That will certainly won't help his aerodynamics whatsoever. It now decides to dislodge itself completely, so at least he'll get some extra cooling. But it doesn't look. It looks like when you. It looks like the car's when you see in the front like its skull, like its face has been ripped off. But not an unsightly thought you want at all, but it looks rather odd. Looks a bit like a skeleton at the front, doesn't it, without the front nose? Anyway, first, second, and third all together. Then Hugo Bush is fourth. It's then Gwyn Jones in fifth. Rest of the pack goes streaming through. We've got Ryan Lovett and Chris Broom in ninth and 10th respectively as they turn out through Hawthorns. So I'm intrigued to see how much, if at all, the loss of that nose slows down Mansberger. As I say, a silver line to that is at least he's got some extra cooling, but won't thank the lack of straight line speed that this car will have lost. So in through the right hander. I can't believe he's still carrying that marker post. I'll be quiet about it now because I've been on about it for the first part of the race anyway. So top five are going through the left hander at Jim Clark S's, then through the right. So it's still O'Flanagan that leads by 0.6 of a second. He's now got the top two drivers not just battling for the championship, but also the two academy champions from last year, who are once again locking horns on track now that they've graduated as respective academy champions. Now they're going for just one title between the two of them, and that'll be quite crucial. As there is Mansberger's car. I can't help how that looks with the front nose has been lodged off now. So still carrying on though in third place. It's not the most attractive thing without the front nose, but form of a function in some cases. Fourth place still for Hugo Bush is in there. He's past Gwyn Jones. He's going up for third place. Decides to completely bamboozle Mansberger up the inside and sneaks through into third position. Mansberger will try and fight back. Ooh, and Hugo Bush wasn't quite fully alongside. Now there was contact. And look at this Hugo Bush's car. That's the right rear wing that's rubbing against the tyre now. So contact there as Hugo Bush really, I think, to be fair to him, that was kind of his own doing. He didn't have to move across a Mansberger like that, but he moved across a Mansberger. There was a bit of contact, and because of that, Hugo Bush's car, you can see that the right rear wing is rubbing against the tyre, so if it's not careful, if that doesn't kind of rub the bodywork away from it by itself, you might even find yourself with a bit of a cut tyre or a puncture in some cases. So you've got to be very careful of that. Mansberger will come back at him. Might not have appreciated that little bit of contact between the two of them. Bush will try and defend the inside line. He slots back in instead behind the German. So everyone's getting all arms and elbows at the moment in this early part of the race. We haven't hit halfway just yet, but still the race carries on. So up through the Jim Clark S's again. We're now looking at Taylor O'Flanagan with quite a lead now, just under half a second between the top two. Tom Cockrell keeping up the pursuit in second place, and then third place still for Mansberger with Bush trying to chase him down. So top three together as they won, not as they were on the podium, but as they did appear on the podium yesterday. And it's Bush then under threat from Gwyn Jones, gets that run into the complex now for the on the inside of Hugo Bush into there, and still Bush holds on, but Jones is big up, massively under threat. The second group of cars, which is now headed by Alex Vincent, by Chris Broom with Lund, Lovett and Chris Broom. Currently rounds out the top 10, but now Flanagan will get a proper chance here to try and make a move on Tom Cockrell as they come up towards the end of the circuit at Clairvaux. Back in the slipstream over that curb. Mansberger holding on to third place. A bit of a gap to fourth now as Hugo Bush and Gwyn Jones holding on to fourth and fifth at this point. Turn their way out of Hawthorns now up through the back straight now, and Cockrell will get a chance to try and get past in the slipstream here down towards the right-hander at Tower Bend. He gets the toe down the outside line. They're going to be side by side with two outgoing academy champions going wheel to wheel into Tower Bend, and still Flanagan holds on to the lead from the front of the grid. And Mansberger in just third place, just keeping a close watching brief as they turn out through the Jim Clark S's side by side again. And Flanagan again keeps his nose in front, but I think because Cockrell thought about making a move and then backed out of it, has now got Mansberger all over him for second place. Just trying to find them on the camera shot. That's the scrap for fourth going on. That's Hugo Bush versus Gwyn Jones as they come back into Sonny in and then Sonny out. And as for right now, I saw him flash through the shot. There has been a change for second as well because Mansberger is past. There he is, car 25 with no front nose and that front marker, that orange marker post lodged in his suspension. Might not be the prettiest sight, but it's certainly doing the job at the moment in second place. He's doing a fine job to try and keep with Ted Flanagan down the pit straight. He will now try and get the toe up towards Clermont again. I can hear screeches of tyres as the cars are winding their way out through the complex back onto the pit straight. We come up towards half distance. So O'Flanagan, Mansberger, Cockrell, that's the top three still. Cockrell with unfinished business here. He'll try and close back in to get a move. He can stay close here through the right-hander of Hawthorne and out through the S's. He'll have a great chance to get back in the slipstream and cruise past Mansberger, potentially trying to break him down into the complex. At this point in time, though, Mansberger's got the toe on O'Flanagan. He will go to the outside this time, but again, O'Flanagan, very smart driving there. We put the car practically in the middle of the road, then just drifted back to the racing line into the braking zone to make sure that he could defend and basically corner off any chance of an opportunity that Mansberger and Cockrell might have had. Getting closer again through Jim Clark S's and through that sequence of corners. Again, Mansberger got close with the momentum he could carry, but then through Barcroft he backed off a little bit, and that's now put Cockrell back into play here as they come back into the complex of Sunny in. Turn right again, through Sunny out, mind the curb on the exit. It's caught Mansberger out more than once so far in this race at this stage. And now we come back into the complex again. So O'Flanagan, Mansberger and Cockrell. That's still the top three, covered by less than 0.8 of a second now. It was 0.8 of a second across the line, but it's definitely less than that. Meanwhile, behind them, Gwyn Jones has got past Hugo Bush for fourth now, so Gwyn Jones is back past Hugo Bush into P4. The leaders go back down the pit straight again with 8 3/4 minutes left on the clock. Rest of the top 10 is Alex Vincent in 6th, Andy Lund in 7th, Ryan Lovett in 8th, and it's Steve Lancaster ahead of Chris Broome to round out 9th and 10th places. So no change in the order just yet. 8.5 minutes still to go in this Mission Motorsport Caterham Roadsport Championship race. And Mansberger got a really good run off of Tower Corner, and no section or not, he's going to have a great chance to go down the outside here, down towards Tower Corner. Side by side for the lead, diving down the outside and even getting himself in front into the braking zone before he even turns in. And it's now Dominic Mansberger's turn to take the turn in the lead here. Meanwhile, Hugo Bush has a late dive into Tower at the expense of Gwyn Jones, but Jones holds on and maintains 4th position, but he hasn't shaken off the 22 car just yet. So now for the first time in this race proper, it's going to be Mansberger that heads for Flanagan. Flanagan, I think, will be the first time he won't need a lap in this race. And now he'll have also Tom Cockrell to think about, because Tom is right on his tail as they all make their way through Sunny in and Sunny out again. This is on lap 8 of this contest, and now with a good run off for the second part of that Sunny complex, now he tries to put himself alongside to the outside line for the first part of the complex, looks for the switch back as he goes to the second part. Cockrell goes right round the outside and almost found himself with an opportunity to get through, but Flanagan just shut the door quick enough to stop any kind of chance that Cockrell might have had. And I'm going to keep an eye on the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, because that's got Gwyn Jones with Hugo Bush over him, and watch Alex Vincent as well, who might get a chance to get past. But nonetheless, this is now going to be a great scrap going on between the top three. Still Mansberger holding off Flanagan. Now, rather than being the hunted, he's now the hunt. Flanagan is now the hunter, because he's the one that's having to do the chasing here to try and close down and repass Dominic Mansberger if he can. But Dominic will certainly want to get a victory. He had a bit of a turbulent weekend at Brands Hatch. Didn't quite go his way, and he felt a bit disheartened after it. But if he can pick up a win, that will certainly bring his spirits back up. And he'll certainly, I'm sure, be the happy and smiling and enthusiastic Dominic that we usually know in the paddock. He wasn't quite himself at Brands Hatch after some 1 or 2 incidents he was involved in. 4th and 5th though are still close. Gwyn Jones and Hugo Bush, and just keeping an eye on this battle for the lead on screen and down at the Sunny corners as they come back down through Barcross. If you're watching down on track, so you can see them as they turn in through the first right-hander, then the short little straight, and now into the second right-hander. See the marshals down the inside of the circuit watching on. Big thank you to all the marshals watching here, and all our volunteers and all our medical crews and recovery crews for all their hard work. 6 minutes to go. I'm sure they're watching a very entertaining race between these three at the front. Even though it's not the biggest pack, all it takes is the top three to keep together and have this really close race. It is always entertaining to watch when these Caterhams get together and have a brilliant battle at the front of the field. Now, one car to watch has got to be Tom Cockrell, because I suspect he's keeping his powder dry for a moment. Now he's going to go on the attack for second place. The two Academy champions in 2020 are now side by side on the run down towards Clairvaux. Mansberger's getting away here. Now Cockrell looks to the outside line. Flanagan will try and outbreak him, or he was going to try and do that, but Cockrell goes sailing around the outside, and into second place he goes. So Tom Cockrell then gets past his fellow Academy champion from last year, drifts out wide through Hawthorns, and Flanagan says, cheers mate, back up the inside I go, back into second place. But if he gets a better run off the corner, Cockrell will try and get him back here, and look at that, Flanagan knows that he's going to try and come back at him quick enough. Down towards Tower they go, closes in even faster, closer into the braking zone, but no, not quite into the Tower this time by. He will stay in third place. Behind for fourth on screen, we can see Hugo Bush again going on the attack for Gwyn Jones. As Alec Vincent watches on in car 17, he's having a great run in sixth position. Still Andy Lund in seventh place from Lovett, Broome and Lancaster, as our leaders go back out towards the top end of the circuit through that very fast right-hander of Barcroft and back into the complex. And Dominique Mansberger putting a grand job in. Usually we've seen him sail away when it's been quite wet, no pun intended, but in the dry conditions he's been getting much stronger, and he's usually strong in the dry anyway, but usually when it rains he pretty much is, to coin the German phrase, the Rainmeister. He's doing quite a fine job at the moment, and just holding on to take a race victory of his own. Now into the complex again, and now down the pit straight to end another lap. 4 minutes left in the books in this second Mission Motorsport Caterham Roadsport Championship race of the weekend. Dominique Mansberger looking for victory. Taylor Flanagan wants his second. Tom Cockrell wants his first in a while. There is Tom. And then further back, there's fourth, fifth and sixth together. So Hugo Bush is trying to pull a gap now on Gwyn Jones. A little wide through the apex there was Hugo. That will bring Gwyn back in, as it will also Alex Vincent, and also watch out for Andy Lund as well. He's not too far away in seventh place. We believe though they're going side by side down towards Tower Bend. Watch for this. Here comes down the outside for Taylor Flanagan. Oh, Tom Cockrell's off the road. Tom Cockrell, there must have been contact between possibly either something's happened to Tom Cockrell, either there was contact. I was watching the stream to see what was happening, but Tom Cockrell off the road. He's parked it right just down at the against the barrier where the rallycross circuit is. So Tom Cockrell then, dramatically, one of the championship contenders out of the race then. He's parked the car way off the road, so it shouldn't be a yellow flag of any kind, I don't think. He's way out of any danger, but it now means that as Taylor Flanagan takes the lead here at Croft Circuit, back into the lead once more with Mansberger in second place, that scrap between Bush and Jones now becomes a scrap for the final podium place, because Tom Cockrell, rather heartbreakingly, is out of the race. Now, I wasn't sure if he clipped a curb, he clipped a tyre stack or something, but it looks as though that whatever happened, he wasn't far behind the top two. I think it looks like he might have done it by himself. So whether he's clipped something himself, they can run wide, I'm not sure. But I did see the aftermath where I saw the top two go through, but then I was wondering where Cockrell was. He was quite far back, and that's the reason why. So sadly, to Tom Cockrell, then car 59, the red and white machine, which is now parked against the barrier near the rallycross circuit, is sadly out of it, I'm afraid. So now, with 2 minutes and 20 to go, it is Flanagan versus Mansberger. And now, right all the way back now, to hear this fact for now, what is now, I think if they've probably worked it out, or they might not work it out until the finish, the battle of a third place now between Bush, then Jones, but now also Alex Vincent, and also count in Andy Lund and Ryan Lovett. So it's now going to be a 5-car scrap for third place. Excellent stuff between these two, between these 5 cars at the front. Hugo Bush has the run down the back straight. Here comes Gwyn Jones to the outside in car 97. The red car with the black bonnet looks to the outside. Hugo Bush defends, puts the car in the middle of the road, turns in through Tower Bend, through the right-hander. Vincent gets closer. Now we're watching out the back of the circuit, waiting for our top 2 to come into sight, I believe. Or that'll be our scrap for third, won't it, coming through? So there's Hugo Bush going through Jim Clark S's. And now Alex Vincent's joined in too. He's just behind Gwyn Jones. He's closed in, so he's just there to the left, a shot just behind the timing tower, hiding. Car 17. The sort of grey and green car that's in the mix. Our leaders, meanwhile, are side by side into the complex, but with O'Flanagan still with his nose in front. We're still watching on stream the battle of now for third place between Hugo Bush and Gwyn Jones, with Alex Vincent watching on there in P5. A little wayward there off the apex there was Alex. He lost a bit of time to bring Andy Lund and Ryan Lovett back into play, but here's our top 2 with O'Flanagan back in the lead. They're going to start the last lap of the race now, 58 seconds on the clock, and now it's a chance to Flanagan to see if Mansberger will try and get back past Flanagan. He needs to try and keep close as much as he can to try and get a move into Tower Bend. For third place, meanwhile, it looks as though I think Bush has pulled away a little bit from Gwyn Jones. He's now got a gap of about 0.4 of a second, so we'll have to wait and see if he can close back in. Meanwhile, for the leaders, Mansberger, he's right there. He's got a great run off the S's down towards the complex. We're waiting for the cars for third place to come through of Bush and Jones, but now down towards the complex here at Tower Bend. Down the outside goes Dominic Mansberger, going for the lead to Tower Bend round the outside. Can he hold on to it? The answer is just about yes, but he's got the inside line for the first part of the Jim Clark Aces. We're watching on stream the battle for third between Hugo Bush and Gwyn Jones. Jones looks down the outside into the right-hander, but Hugo Bush holds on. Meanwhile, Mansberger has completed the move, and he's into a lead on the last lap. Half a lap to go, with a car that's got one rear wing missing, the front nose missing, and the one orange marker post lodged in the suspension. You wouldn't think it was a race-winning car. It might not be yet if you can't get it to the flag in front. But now through the right-handers at sunny in and sunny out. Mo Flanagan right on his tail. We could be in for a grandstand, typical Caterham photo finish here. Into the complex for the final time. Mansberger with Flanagan all over him through the left-hander. Turn right, stick to the inside line, back on the power again. Flanagan is so close. Can he get to the undercut here into the hairpin for the last time? Can he get a bit of traction down the pit straight towards the checkered flag? There's a car off the road in the background as well. We'll get to that in a second. But that's the checkered flag. It might not be over. Oh, Flanagan missed a shift. He's not going to get it. Down towards the checkered flag. Dominic Mansberger takes victory in race 2 in the Mission Motorsport Caterham Roadsport Championship. Tenor Flanagan was denied, it looked like, by a missed shift on the exit the final corner. He will be kicking himself for that, but second place is still very strong for his championship chances. Third goes to Hugo Bush. I'm sure he'll realise it was third just about in a second. Fourth for Gwyn Jones, fifth for Alex Vincent, then it's Andy London sixth, Ryan Lovett seventh, and then Chris Broome, Steve Lancaster and Nick Timpson rounding out the top 10. Nick Timpson will be happy with that. From towards the back of the grid, I think he was 20th on the grid. He finishes up in 10th position. We passed half the field to get there. We're looking here at Adrian Mariadis with a strong drive, also to 14th, ahead of Simon Arnold, and Kevin Turner back in 16th as well. So excellent racing. That'll be crucial though for Tom Cockrell, losing out after retirement in that second race. Dominic Mansberger will be a very happy German driver back in assembly area in Park Fairbairn, because he will take a victory on the road, at least and outright, from Taylor Flanagan on pure dry pace alone. So he'll be absolutely delighted with that, and I'm sure they'll be springing his step once more. So Dominic Mansberger takes victory then. Across the line they go. And at the end of it all, a magnificent way to finish off today's Roadsport action. There's still 3 more races to go today, which is for our Caterham Academy drivers, and of course in between that we've got our second Nankang Tyre City Car Cup race of the day as well. So stay tuned for that if you want to tune in for the last 3 races of this afternoon. So, excellent stuff from all involved in the Caterham Roadsport Championship. Congratulations to everyone that made the flag. We lost to Kevin Turner at the end of the pit lane. We also saw Sam Gibbons retire towards the end of the race, and of course Tom Cockrell's car, which is now moving again under its own power, but obviously not at 100% health, it looks like. So he will try and at least bring that car back around again. And in come our race winners. I think Tom Cockrell was driving it on the grass by the barrier before he comes in. Right, on stream, here's confirmation of that provisional result. So Dominic Mansberger wins from Taylor Flanagan by 0.8 of a second. Hugo Bush picks up the final podium spot from Gwyn Jones in 4th. Alex Vincent picks up 5th from Andy Lund, Ryan Lovett, Chris Broome, then it's Steve Lancaster and Nick Timpson. Then Ron Mounsey finishes 11th from James Hall in 12th. Peter Mott and Adrian Mariadis come next from Simon Arnold, Andrew Bergbaum in Hapgood. Then Marcus Eels, Chris Griffith, and then Kevin Turner, who finished in the pit lane. So he did finish the race, I think, but he came in the pit lane in 20th, and then sadly we lost Tom Cockrell, crucially, one of our main championship contenders, and Sam Gibbons. So you will have to use that as a drop score going into the mix, into the last couple of meetings at Snetterton and then Cadwell. So, more Caterham action coming up shortly. It's the first of our Academy races coming up next on the timetable, so stay tuned. There's more Caterham Motorsport action coming up with the white group in just a few moments' time. It's going to be a cracker to watch these rookie drivers get in the mix here at Croft.